570. I hate the question that I'm asking. I want to turn the tables on myself on that. However, I'm not ducking away from the conversation. I don't even know what too sensitive means. So, like everybody, you're wired the way you're wired. But so it's not fair. I'm admitting that to be like, is he too sensitive? He is what he is. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you put it into the framework of what we're talking about, Warrior basketball, the success that he's had, the future success that he will have, the goals that he may have had at one time about staying a Warrior for life, and we're using as part of this the conversation about the NBA top 75 all-time thing. And who did you say you looked it up? Who actually did the voting for this?
Oh, it was a blue ribbon panel, Mark.
A blue ribbon panel.
It was a blue ribbon panel of current and former players, coaches, GMs, team and league execs, WNBA legends, sports writers, and broadcasters.
So in other words...
blue ribbon in your face.
Okay, in my face, except for it includes apparently just about everybody who's ever watched a basketball game.
Blue ribbon. It's a blue ribbon panel.
What the hell does that mean?
That means when you go to current and former NBA players, you don't just grab any player. You grab players who reek of blue ribbon.
Oh, reek.
The finest of the fine.
You smell like blue ribbon.
Yeah. Is it Blue Label?
Anyway.
Blue Steel?
In other words, it's super, super stupid. It's
not
fun.
Stupid at all.
No, but it's not fact. We're not dealing in fact.
It's a fact that these 76 players were named to the all 75th anniversary team. That's a fact.
Great. So
we are dealing in fact.
Okay.
Ironically or coincidentally, all 50 members of the 50th anniversary team, they all made it 25 years later, which is to say that the likes of Paul Arizin and Dolph Schayes, they didn't get any worse.
They didn't. Okay, that's good. That's exciting.
George Mikan didn't get any worse from being on the all 50th team to the 75th team.
If you're going to have other people gather in a room or send an email with silly votes and you miss out, and again, I don't think he did. Did he actually come in 77th? What?
They didn't have that, no.
I mean, somebody did. Somebody somewhere's got a list of who came in 76th and 77th.
I don't believe that it was released as such. There are 10 current players who made the team. Draymond Green, not among them. Okay. And I don't recall Draymond Green chirping about how he felt like he needed to change his number to 78.
Fair point.
So in answer to your question about is Klay too sensitive? Yes.
Well,
Kevin Durant, also too sensitive.
Okay, that's fair.
Draymond Green, probably not sensitive enough.
Well, except for which one's still on the Warriors?
Draymond Green.
Okay, so that's
he punched a teammate and stomped an opponent.
This is kind of what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is that I'm not going to call him, quote, too sensitive, but I am going to say, and I said this yesterday at the summit, his sensitivity is a factor in why he's not with the Warriors anymore. I'm not saying it's wrong, but things bother Klay that may not bother others. And things that would bother everyone bother him a lot. They bother him more than maybe they would bother other people. He very much, he's got an active sort of sensitive brain. I know this about him. He internalizes things.
And I would add that the things that bother him affect the way he plays. And that's where I would draw the line as him being, quote, too sensitive, because it clearly affected him last year. All of the things that swirled around from shot selection to playing time to the contract to the rest of it, it affected the way he played. And that's why I would declare him to be too sensitive.
So, and that's fine if, you ended up on a different team. But a lot of the things that I look at, and it's the point I was trying to make yesterday, not that the Warriors are right and that Klay was wrong, but I do think if you're Klay or anyone for that matter, you got to look at these situations sometimes and go, I'm going to meet you halfway. You're allowed to look at the Warriors and go, that really bothered me. It bothered me that Draymond Green talked about my money. It bothered me that you wanted me to come off the bench. And here's why that bothered me. And of course you offered me a max contract at the hospital. Because if you didn't, 8 other teams would have. I was at the top of my game. And we were coming off of championships and championship contention, and I torn my ACL right there in the finals trying to win another ring for you. That's all fair. But don't you also have to admit, dude, we paid you $218 million, and I understand that a ring happened in that 5 years, but you weren't even you weren't the best player on that team. You weren't the second best player on that team. You were a part-time player on that team. And the other 4 years, we did not love what we got. And there are some feelings there. Don't you think it's incumbent upon Klay to say, that's fair? That's fair. You need to meet people halfway. You know what I mean? If the Warriors and Klay were sitting in a therapy session together, don't you think the therapist would be like, you have a point there, and you have a point there? This is not just like, I was surprised yesterday at the Summit reaction of the whole "did Klay get jobbed" thing.
Yeah. Everyone thought he did, yeah.
Really? He got jobbed? He got hosed? He got, like, mistreated?
I don't see it that way, and you and I have had this conversation, and if you just want to look at what happened, and they reportedly offered him 2 years and $48 million in October, and he wound up getting 3 years and $50 million in July. So he got much, much less average annual value. He got $2 extra million in total cash in the deal, and he got an extra year to go to play for Dallas. So just on the contract alone, I wouldn't say that he got, quote, jobbed. And I think that they were very patient as a team with his ups and downs over the course of the last couple of years. And yeah, he was very durable last year. 77 games of a possible 82. And you mentioned it yesterday, 178 games was his total over the 5 years of regular season basketball. And you got to add in the playoff games if you really want to give a fair accounting to what he played. But your overarching point was the money they gave him versus the amount of games he actually played. And I would say that that's not getting jobbed when you're getting paid more than $1 million a game for the amount of games that you actually did play in the regular year.
Yeah, and look, he contributed. He gave everything he had. I'm not taking a shot at the guy, but like life plays the way it plays. And to go back to our original point, like let's say you were the 80th or the 77th best player all time. Not bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He found that offensive. I don't see why he finds that offensive. I also know that athletes use stuff like that. They use stuff like that to motivate themselves. And so that's fine. Whatever you got to do, you do it. But I do think that there are some things in this story where Klay got offended, and I'm like, that offended you? Really? Okay.
Yep. And different players are offended by different things. And, for Chris Paul, it was you coaching in a conversation in the offseason last year about, when he gets traded to the Warriors. And I think it was Kendra Andrews who dared to intimate that maybe he would come off the bench, which turned out to be the way that went.
Of course it was accurate.
Right.
Of course it was.
The sensitivity in that moment. And, a lot of it comes down to ego. And it comes down to, the question or maybe who the questioner is. And, Klay Thompson got all upset at Devin Booker of the Suns, and they had this back and forth, and he's calling him a bum, and you'll never win a title, and I got 4, and all the rest of it. And so sometimes sensitivity comes up based on circumstance.
Let's go to Ed in Los Gatos. Hey, Ed, you're on with Willard and Dibs. What's up?
Hey, thanks, guys, very much for taking my call. I'm just looking up my top 75 greatest rock and roll albums ever just to see if they got that list right.
What's number 74, Ed? What's number 74? I'm kidding. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't think Klay's too sensitive. I think he's a smart guy. I think he talks about stuff. Just because somebody talks about something openly doesn't mean that it's sensitive. I work in high tech, and the fact of the matter is, it's okay to leave sometimes. It doesn't mean that somebody screwed up. Klay has great relationships with his teammates and with the fans and with the coaching staff. He has high goals for himself, and sometimes change is healthy. And I think that a bigger part of the decision, just like Dibs was just saying, he got an extra, $2 million for an extra third year. I don't think that. I think he was looking for what's going to be a good fit for me. I want to change. I want to get some new teammates. I'm going to work hard, earn some respect with some new people. You say, hey, Klay, thanks for all your hard work. You busted your ass here. You did great work. I want to see you do well. I'm not going to go, when somebody leaves my company, I'm not going to go buy the products of the company he goes work for. I'm not going to go cheer for the Dallas Mavericks. But, what if he ever comes back and when they give him, hang his name up in the banner, I'm going to be there cheering for him. So thanks, Klay, and I want to see him do well. But I don't think anybody screwed him over, and I don't think anybody did anything wrong. I think it's okay to leave sometimes.
Ed, I agree with you completely. Here's what is sort of the interesting aspect of this, and then we'll play a little bit more of what Klay said today so that you can get the vibe and the feel for it if you did not see the press conference and you were at work or whatever you might be up to today on a Tuesday. We get to this point now, and sometimes people want to change history because they would like it to fit whatever sort of idea they want out in a public space. So Klay Thompson now, we're going to have a press conference, and he's going to be like, well, change the scenery. Absolutely needed a change of scenery. As Ed said, let's get some new teammates. Let's get a new feel. Let's get a new vibe. Well, wait a minute. If that's what you really wanted, you wouldn't have even tried to get an offer from the Warriors. Why would you? What if the Warriors had offered you $100 million?
That change of scenery. Looking for that change of scenery.
So, which is it? Did you want a change of scenery or did you want respect from the Warriors? And we've moved on in life and accepted both. And they're polar opposites from one another.
And I think that he had mentioned in an earlier piece, maybe it was the Ramona Shelburne article that talked about where he had a moment where he realized that he was going to have to find joy and peace of mind outside of the Warriors organization. And maybe that's when he went and unfollowed him and he decided to scrub his account of certain pictures because he came to that realization after his round of golf in May with Joe Lacob, where they reportedly didn't talk about his future with the Warriors and they didn't talk about a contract. After that, he had a realization that, maybe he did need a change of scenery.
Right. But you were forced to that opinion.
Mostly,
that wasn't your opinion, because 2 months ago you went to Riviera hoping that Joe Lacob would offer you a contract.
Right.
You didn't want to change the scenery. You wanted a change of contract offer.
You probably wanted the contract that you turned down back. You probably wanted 2 and 48 back.
That's a good point.
When you said no to it back in October, you wanted that one back, and the team is saying, well, not only is that contract not available, but no contract is available.
I mean, we're really just kind of working through what led us to this point. There's no problem here. There's no problem here. Every time we have this conversation, you're going to start getting the reaction, and I see you. Oh, dude, let the Klay hate go. No, nobody hates Klay. That's absurd. Why would you hate Klay? What on earth is that even about? Right? I don't even understand that. What on earth would Klay Thompson have ever done that would make somebody take shots or not acknowledge the past or all of those things? But what I acknowledge is that he's a unique dude. And I don't think you see a lot of guys like this in pro sports. I know a lot of guys get offended by contract offers. Brandon Ayuk clearly is right now. Paul George was a handful of weeks ago. So I get that. But I'd also argue that when dudes get offended by contract offers, when they change, they get unoffended real fast. Klay got offended repeatedly for a period of seemingly maybe as much as 4 years now with the Warriors. And to the point where he did not enjoy very much of the last 2 years since they won a championship. I don't know if the parade out here was his last great day as a Warrior. Maybe, but he repeatedly got offended and was unable to work his way out of it, even when contract offers were put in front of him.
Yeah, because he thought that he was worth more than what the offers were at the time. And, he was making almost $43 million last year. $43 million. And so at the start of last year, where you're feeling better now and you're a few years removed from the surgeries and you're a year removed from being a champion and they offer you 24 a year, you're thinking, get out of here, 24. I'm Klay Thompson. I'm making almost 43. And we had Bobby Marks, who was a cap expert and an NBA salary guy and a former GM himself. And he put the number back in, I think it was about January, February. He said Klay's probably going to command around $30 million a year. Yep. So even at that time, if you're in Klay's camp, you turn down 2 and 48, which is 24 a year, and you have experts around the league saying 30 is not out of the question. And then you get to the end of the year and you're waiting for that offer and that offer never comes. And you're thinking, come on, I mean, what's it going to be? And then you realize that the market elsewhere is not 24 a year. It might be 20 a year. And you mentioned earlier the Laker alleged offer of 4 years and $80 million. I can't believe that he would turn down 4 and 80 to take 3 and 50 with Dallas just based on their ability to go out and win a championship.
I doubt that very, very much.
So, I mean, I don't know if we've had confirmation of the accuracy of that alleged offer or if we ever will get that. I mean, only Rob Pelinka and, maybe Ramona Shelburne in a private moment could either confirm or deny that. But the fact that he wound up taking basically $16.66 million a year after turning down 24, after making 43, that's a long fall down to getting 3 and 50.
I mean, there are more people who know. Michael was on with us yesterday. I'm sure he knows. All he would say is that the Lakers were an option. They're an option. So,
yeah, and LeBron was going to take less in theory to allow enough room for Klay to come in, and then the Klay thing didn't happen, and LeBron did take less.
I never bought that for a second.
I mean, that's where seeing's believing. If LeBron takes $40 million a year instead of what he end up with, 55, 56 or whatever.
He was never going to do that. He was never going to give back that much money.
Yeah, I don't think so. But that was the chatter, right?
Right, because he needed good PR because he was dealing with a whole week of people screaming about how nepotism has taken over the Los Angeles Lakers draft room. So he needed some positive PR. So Clutch put out that he'll take less money to make room for a player that everybody knows is not coming. Because the Warriors were never going to take D'Angelo Russell, not in a million years.
That worked out the first time.
They wouldn't trade Guy Santos' shoe for D'Angelo Russell right now.
Nice shoes.
LeBron still took a pay cut. $1 million pay cut so they can stay out of the second apron.
The $1 million pay cut, which more than $1 million of like that plus more money was just transferred to his son.
His son got a 4-year deal as a second-round pick.
It's hysterical.
It's
awesome.
It's
for him.
No, I find it to be hilarious.
Yeah, it is. It's totally hilarious.
JJ Redick will coach him up.
Oh, he's a prospect. Did you see him in the first Summer League game?
Look good.
He looks really good.
I like the player. I like the pick.
I liked both of his missed free throws. I thought both of them looked